The year I turned 18, I followed my parents to Dazao Temple for the very first time, and that was where I laid eyes on Liu Ruyan. Clad in plain, undyed robes, she looked like a celestial being descended from the heavens. At that moment, Ruyan was listening to an eminent monk expound the scriptures, her face solemn, aloof, and icy, like an untouchable snow lotus blooming on a celestial mountain, far beyond reach. It took just that one glance for love to take root deep in my heart. I knew right then and there that I was done for. She'd hooked me for life. The truth was, my parents came to Dazao Temple every year to observe a month of vegetarian fasting and Buddhist chanting, supposedly to wash away their karmic sins. In all the years before, they'd never brought me along. This year, having just come of age, they finally decided I should tag along. Call it fate, I suppose. During that month at Dazao Temple, I seized every opportunity to get close to Ruyan, striking up conversations with her at every turn. At first, she ignored me entirely, treating me like thin air. That was, until I dropped my credentials. I was Fang Bancheng's son. After all, my father was the temple's biggest benefactor. Surely that earned me a little face, and so the abbot told Ruyan to be a bit nicer to me. Once Ruyan saw that even the abbot had spoken, her attitude softened ever so slightly. Whenever I spoke to her now, she would generally respond with a word or two. Sometimes it was, other times, right, occasionally fine, and once in a while, piss off. The temple abbot would stand off to the side, watching me pester Ruyan with a beaming smile, never once stepping in to intervene, and just like that, a month flew by. Before we knew it, it was time to leave. I, who had never believed in gods or spirits, knelt for the first time with utter sincerity before the Buddha and prayed. Prayed that Buddha would make Liu Ruyan fall in love with me. I knew I was putting the Buddha in a tight spot, but tight spot or not, my family had funneled enough incense money his way. If he couldn't even handle this small favor, what right did he have to take all that cash? As we were leaving, I walked up to Ruyan and whispered softly in her ear, Ruyan, when the peach blossoms bloom next year, your big brother will be back. Don't miss me too much. Liu Ruyan, who had maintained a perfect poker face the entire time, actually frowned. Well, that was progress. At least I'd gotten a reaction. Any more of this and I might as well build her a pedestal so I could just worship her sitting up there. After leaving Dazao Temple and returning to the capital, I lost all appetite for food and drink. My mind was consumed by images of Ruyan. I figured I had come down with something. The lovesick kind of something, probably. What I never, ever expected was that, 1 month later, the Liu Ruyan I'd been pining for day and night would show up at my school like a bolt from the blue. The spring semester of my freshman year had just begun. I was sitting in the back row of the lecture hall, shooting the breeze with my dorm mates about our winter break adventures. Wang Cheng, our dorm big brother, leered at me and asked, "Third brother, that so-called Buddhist girl you met over winter break, is she really that gorgeous?" I nodded. "Big brother, I'll be honest, and don't take this the wrong way. I've seen my fair share of women, but those so-called beauties you're always going on about? To me, they're utterly ordinary, not even fit to carry Liu Ruyan's shoes." Big brother wasn't ready to concede. "What about our class president, Lung Qingyou? She's the campus belle." "The campus belle," I said. "She's decent, at best. 9 out of 100. Tops. Not a point more." The dorm guys stared at me, stunned. 9 isn't high enough? Don't tell me this Liu Ruyan is some legendary perfect 10 beauty. A perfect 10 isn't possible. Liu Ruyan is about a 99. I'm docking 1 point so she doesn't get a big head. Holy crap, third brother. You're absolutely shameless. A 100-point scale and you give Lung Qingyou a 9? Right at that moment, Lung Qingyou, sitting in the front row, spun around and glared daggers at me, leaving me utterly bewildered. Big brother grinned sheepishly, pulled out his phone, and spoke into the mic. "Class President Leng, did you catch all that? It's not that I didn't try to help you. Fang Yuan just doesn't think much of you." Holy crap, that son of a bitch sold me out. Just as I was rallying the dorm crew to gang up on Big Brother, our counselor walked in. "Settle down, everyone. I'd like to introduce a new student. Liu Ruyan, please introduce yourself." All eyes fell on the girl standing behind the counselor. Liu Ruyan was dressed in a clean, sharp tracksuit. Hearing the counselor call her name, she stepped expressionlessly onto the podium and said, "My name is Liu Ruyan." Then, ignoring everyone entirely, she walked straight toward me. The class was dumbfounded. That's it? She wasn't going to mention her hobbies or interests? But damn, this girl was drop-dead gorgeous. Goddess tier, no question. Just one look at her was a win. The guys were in awe. The girls scoffed with searing envy. Ruyan acted as if she couldn't hear any of it. She glided over with light, graceful steps, stopping right in front of me, her eyes blazing with fury. In all the time I'd known her, this was the first time I'd ever seen such unmistakable emotion on her face. Ruyan glanced at Big Brother, who was sitting beside me. Wang Cheng, that spineless coward, immediately shot to his feet and even wiped down the stool he'd just been sitting on with his sleeve. "Ma'am, please, take a seat." Ruyan paused, expressionless, then produced a handkerchief, spread it over the stool, and slowly sat down. I watched Big Brother's jaw drop and burst out laughing. "That's what you get for brown-nosing. Even as a bootlicker, you got rejected." "You're gonna laugh me to death," Big Brother grumbled, his face looking like he'd been force-fed a laxative. "What the hell are you laughing at? A beauty like that having a little hygiene obsession, isn't that perfectly normal? A girl at her level has to have something to worship, don't you get it?" Fine, now he was even making excuses for her. Ruyan ignored our banter. Her icy gaze locked onto me and she demanded, voice dripping with menace, "Fang Yuan, what exactly did you do?" That one question completely blindsided me. What did she mean? What did I do? Seeing my blank confusion, Ruyan simply walked out of the classroom, motioning with her eyes for me to follow. Amid catcalls from our classmates, I trailed after her. She didn't stop until we reached the campus lake. I'd been so busy staring at her full swaying hips that I couldn't brake in time and crashed right into her. God, she was so soft, it felt like jelly. Ruyan spun around and drove her foot straight into my gut. I'd forgotten she knew martial arts. I clutched my stomach and doubled over. She had a point. I was in the wrong, so I couldn't exactly hit back. But after kicking me, Ruyan suddenly clutched her own stomach and crouched down too. Fang Yuan, what did you do? Why am I feeling everything you feel? I was completely lost. Could that really be happening? Unconvinced, I pinched my own arm hard. Hiss, that stung. Sure enough, a red welt appeared on Ruyan's pale, flawless arm. That freaked me out. Could someone have put a curse on us? Ruyan, I swear, I have no idea why this is happening, but I definitely did not do this on purpose. Don't tell me you came all the way to this school just because of this? Ruyan nodded through gritted teeth. Why else would I be here? Forget all that. Take me to the hospital. The stomach pain from her kick had vanished. To the hospital? What for? Without waiting for me to say more, she had already turned and was heading toward the school gate. This was getting ridiculous. She kicked me, and I wasn't even complaining, yet she had the nerve to say she needed a hospital, and the way she was talking to me, it sounded more like she was giving orders. She clearly didn't take me seriously at all. Unbelievable. I was so pissed. Just as I was about to chase after Ruyan to demand an explanation, I caught sight of that pert little rear end swaying left and right as she walked. Ah, forget it. She's the one I've chosen after all. Gotta spoil your own woman, right? I decided to let it go and trotted eagerly after her out of the campus gates. When I caught up at the gate, I watched Ruyan climb into an imposing Hongqi sedan. The sight of that car startled me. I circled to the front and checked the license plate. Well, this was no ordinary vehicle. It belonged to the Liu family of the capital. I pulled open the door and climbed in, settling beside her. A bit uncertain, I asked, "You're the legendary eldest miss of the capital's Liu family?" Ruyan nodded. Her driver, seeing I was in, started the car and headed straight for the hospital. That shut me up. The Liu family of the capital was just too famous. Unlike my father, a nouveau riche upstart, they were an old money dynasty, steeped in history and influence, holding real sway in both politics and business. The Liu family's eldest miss was the stuff of legend. She had taken the reins of the Liu group at an absurdly young age and was an undisputed power player in the capital. After getting her confirmation, my confidence wavered. In the end, I was reaching out of my league, but I quickly pulled myself together. No big deal. I had no shame after all. Ever since I was a kid, once I set my mind on something, I saw it through to the bitter end. During the entire ride, Ruyan ignored me, her face placid as she stared straight ahead. At the hospital, she ordered me to go register. I looked at her, a little baffled. "My lady, I have no idea what's wrong with you. Which department should I register for?" Ruyan's face turned a rare shade of red as she parted her pink lips. "Proctology." So even the great eldest miss had unmentionable afflictions. Grinning lecherously, I went and registered, then accompanied Ruyan to the proctology department. Standing outside the door, I was beside myself with curiosity. What exactly was Ruyan's condition? Was it hereditary? Would it pass on to our future children? Okay, I was getting way ahead of myself. A full half-hour later, the door opened and Ruyan emerged, one hand cupping her rear. The doctor's voice carried from inside the room. "Young lady, stick to bland food for the next few days, and absolutely no more spicy food." Ruyan's face was bright red as she shot me a death glare. "Fine. Got it. So ambition really does have its limits," I grinned. Well, little demoness, I see even you can't control your appetite. They serve chili at Dazhao Temple? So what is it? Internal hemorrhoids, external or mixed? Ruyan looked ready to breathe fire. "I never eat spicy food. You should know exactly how this happened, shouldn't you?" Her question threw me for a loop. Was I supposed to know? But I didn't have hemorrhoids. Then it hit me. Crap, we shared sensations. I thought back to the past few days of recklessly gorging on spicy food and I felt a little guilty. Fair enough, this one was on me. After a whole month of temple vegetarian meals, my mouth had been bored to tears. Once I got back, I went on a rampage. Hot pot, skewers, the works. Still, the whole situation felt too bizarre. How are you so sure it was because of me? Nobody at Dazhao Temple eats chili, and you're the only outsider I've had any contact with lately. Plus, I've been getting all these strange sensations. A rough guess, and you're the most suspicious. She swept her gaze over me and continued, "And we just confirmed it, didn't we? It's you." Fine, fair enough. From her kicking me, to me pinching myself, it was true. The two of us were now synced. After her checkup, Ruyan ordered me to pick up her prescription, then went straight back to the car to wait. I didn't argue. I handled all her errands. Having her hobble around clutching her rear wouldn't have been dignified. So I ran around like an errand boy, up and down the floors, paying fees and fetching medicine. A full hour later, drenched in sweat, I finally made it back to the car. As I peeled off my down jacket, I grumbled, "In the dead of winter and I'm sweating buckets. How are you going to thank me, my lady?" Ruyan glared at me. "And whose fault is it that I'm in this state? You've got the nerve to complain?" I nodded eagerly. "Serving Miss Liu is my honor." Ruyan let out a soft humph. "Don't try to cozy up to me. We're not close." Looking at Ruyan now, I felt she'd become so much more vivid after returning to the secular world. Back at Dazhao Temple, she'd been practically an emotionless Buddha statue. It was just that her attitude toward me was still a bit frosty. What was that about? Acting like she wanted to keep me at arm's length. Before long, Ruyan's driver dropped me off at school and then whisked her away. During the car ride, I'd managed to find out that Ruyan was now staying at a Liu family villa near campus. She preferred peace and quiet and was used to living alone. Back in the dorm, I collapsed straight onto my bed. The day had wrung me out completely. Big brother stretched his head down from the top bunk. Third brother, where have you been? What do you think? Escorting Miss Lu to the hospital. Big brother perked up instantly. What's the deal? She's pregnant? Damn, you move fast. What's the plan? Get married in college, graduate as a family of 3. I couldn't help laughing. I wanted to ask, does having hemorrhoids count as expecting? But I held it in. Ruyan, with that pure ethereal ice goddess image. If word got out that she had hemorrhoids, it'd shatter her reputation. Don't talk nonsense. I haven't sealed the deal with her yet. But it's only a matter of time. The moment Big Brother heard me bragging, he lost all interest in the conversation and changed the subject. What's for dinner? If I hesitated even for a second, it'd be an insult to hot pot. Sichuan hot pot, obviously. The spicier the better. Hearing Sichuan hot pot, Big Brother got fired up. Deal. Once second and fourth get back, we're out of here. Right on cue, second brother and fourth brother pushed the door open and walked in. They were on the basketball team and had just finished practice. I was starving. The moment I saw them, I launched out of bed. Let's go. Hot pot. Big Brother's treating. Second and fourth, hearing hot pot, didn't even bother showering. We'd be sweating buckets at the hot pot place anyway, so we might as well just shower when we got back. Big Brother shot me a murderous look, then pulled out his wallet and counted his cash. Finally, he gritted his teeth. Fine, I'm treating, but let's be clear, I'm eating off your meal cards for the rest of the month. I slapped my chest and heroically promised it wouldn't be a problem. He definitely wouldn't be stuck on cafeteria food for 2 whole weeks. We ran to the hot pot restaurant. Big Brother, clutching the menu, was ordering like a miser pinching pennies. Second brother, Wang Yun, a northeasterner, snatched the menu right out of his hands. Quit dragging your feet. Even a northeastern old lady is more decisive than you. I'm ordering. Good lord. He ordered a table full of nothing but meat, not a single vegetable in sight. In the end, fourth brother, Fu Huan, added 2 veggie dishes. He was from Sichuan and knew which greens went best in a hot pot. The 3 of us were northerners. Vegetables, schmegetables. As long as there was meat. We unhinged our jaws and dug in. Big Brother ate and cried at the same time. So spicy. We couldn't tell if the tears were from the chili or from the hemorrhaging of his wallet. His Tianjin accent made it even funnier. The 3 of us nearly died laughing. Stuffed and satisfied, second brother generously bought 4 cups of milk tea, and we strolled back to the dorm, sipping as we went. Life was good. Hot pot chased with milk tea. College days full of glee. We'd barely reached the dorm entrance when we spotted several people standing by the door. The moment I recognized the one at the front as Lu Ruyan, and saw her clutching her rear, glaring at me with pure rage, I knew immediately. I was screwed. I'd completely forgotten about our shared sensation situation. Ruyan waved a hand at the people behind her, grabbed the country bumpkin in the middle. He somehow managed to insult me, but right now, I didn't dare defend myself. 4 bodyguards in black suits seized me and hauled me before Ruyan. I shouted, "Big bro, second bro, fourth bro, help!" The 3 of them acted like they hadn't seen a thing and walked straight through the dorm entrance. I found myself at Ruyan's villa. She stood before the sofa, face pale as a ghost, while I stood trembling across from her, terrified that at any second she'd give the order and bankrupt my nouveau riche father. After all, it would be a single sentence for someone like her. Just imagining my dad going broke, he'd die of sheer indignation, brought to ruin because his son ate a hot pot meal. After a long silence, Ruyan finally spoke. "Fang Yuan, you did this on purpose, didn't you?" Terrified, I shook my head frantically. Watching her body tremble with fury, I was scared she'd pass out from rage. "My lady, maybe you should sit down first and scold me slowly." "Do you think I can sit down?" "Oh, right, I'd forgotten. She couldn't sit." I stood before Ruyan like a schoolboy caught red-handed, head hanging low. Ruyan had practiced Buddhism for years, cursing people out, a deed that generated bad karma, was definitely not something she'd do. "Fang Yuan, you're moving in with me. Within my line of sight, I might at least have a shot at staying safe. If I keep letting you run wild out there, I honestly fear you'll be the death of me." I couldn't help sneering inwardly. So the Buddhist maiden wasn't quite as enlightened as she looked. She hadn't seen through the illusions of this mortal world after all, still clinging to life and death so fiercely. Wait, what did she just say? Was she inviting me to live together? How could I possibly pass up an opportunity like that? I'd been racking my brain trying to figure out how to win her over, and here the chance came knocking. I nodded eagerly. Yes. I barely have any luggage at school, don't even need to pack a bag. I can move in right away." Ruyan glared at me with exasperation, then led me to the guest room next to hers. "You'll stay here. Without my orders, you are not to leave this room without permission." Great, so this was basically house arrest. Lying on the soft, oversized bed, and listening to the muffled groans from next door, the housemaid was applying ointment for Ruyan. A perverse thought suddenly struck me. If Ruyan farted, would the ointment make bubbles? The more I thought about it, the funnier it got. I knew it was sacrilegious to think this way about Ruyan, the Buddhist maiden, but I couldn't help it. I rolled around on the bed, laughing my head off. A knock came at the door and the maid's voice drifted through. "Young Master Fang, the young miss says to stop laughing. She says if you laugh again, she'll make your whole family cry." Oh crap, I stopped laughing instantly. Women really do have ice in their veins. Lying in bed, I couldn't fall asleep. The dinner had been salty and spicy, and I was dying of thirst. I grabbed my phone and ordered an iced milk tea to cool the heat churning in my stomach. When the delivery arrived, I crept downstairs, opened the front door, and slipped outside. I downed the icy, refreshing tea in one go, absolute bliss. I strolled back into the villa and was tiptoeing upstairs when my stomach suddenly let out a growl. I clamped my hands over my belly in panic, but my traitorous gut wouldn't stop rumbling. Crap. I'd forgotten you should never drink iced milk tea after a spicy hot pot. It destroys your stomach. Thank God the guest room had its own bathroom. It was a hellish night. I was in and out so many times my legs went numb. By early morning, I felt completely emptied out because I was actually hungry. Down in the living room, I didn't see Ruyan. So even the Buddhist maiden slept in? Back at Dazao Temple, she'd been up before dawn every day for morning prayers. Turns out that was all for show. Once she got home, she was just like any normal person. The maid had already prepared breakfast. Seeing me come down, she quickly greeted me. I nodded and sat at the dining table, waiting for Ruyan to come down and eat. The maid checked her watch and muttered oddly, "What's going on today? The young miss is usually up before 6. It's nearly 8. Why hasn't she come down?" She headed upstairs, knocked on the door, got no response, and pushed it open. A startled cry sent me scrambling upstairs. "Young miss, wake up! Why are you so pale?" When I burst through the doorway, I found Ruyan slumped by her bed, ghostly pale, her pants not even pulled up properly, a flash of snow-white skin barely visible. The bathroom door was open. She'd passed out cold. It didn't take a genius to figure out what had happened. Miss Liu had spent the entire night in the bathroom, same as me, and considering she'd just had hemorrhoid surgery before that all-night ordeal, I shuddered, and a wave of sorrow washed over me. I was pretty sure things between me and Liu Ruyan were officially dead. If she didn't kill me, I'd count it as a miracle. But this wasn't the time to dwell on that. The maid and I hastily carried Ruyan downstairs. Her driver was already waiting at the door. Seeing the situation, he immediately helped load Ruyan into the car and rushed us to the hospital. After a morning of emergency treatment, Ruyan finally woke up. The good news, nothing serious, no lasting damage. The bad news, the wound had gotten infected. She'd have to be hospitalized. The Liu family members waiting outside breathed a collective sigh of relief. Liu Jiahui, his features sharp and resolute, dressed in military uniform, exhaled deeply when he saw Ruyan open her eyes. He walked to the bedside and took her hand. "Little sister, how are you feeling?" Ruyan's gaze didn't linger on her brother. Instead, it swept around the room, searching for something. Seeing my chance, I hurried forward. There was no way I was missing an opportunity to shine. "My lady, what are you looking for? Can I help you find it?" Ruyan's eyes locked onto me with lethal intensity. "Brother, beat him up. Beat him to death." Holy crap, this was a misunderstanding. Liu Jiahui stood up and sized me up, clearly confused as to why his perpetually cold and detached little sister would make such a demand. But when the Liu family's little princess gave an order, Jiahui was going to carry it out. The moment his fist slammed into my abdomen, I doubled over clutching my stomach, and from the hospital bed, Ruyan let out a sharp cry. "Stop, brother, don't hit him!" "Heh, forgot about that too, didn't you?" I felt a little smug. Now that Ruyan and I shared sensations, she was my ultimate shield. Just as I was mentally taunting Jiahui, "Go on, hit me again," I suddenly felt something wet and warm in my pants. That punch hadn't just knocked the wind out of me. Holy crap, I'd literally been beaten so hard I crapped myself. I looked up at Ruyan, lying in bed, staring at me with utter despair. I knew she hadn't been able to hold it in either. "Fang Yuan, get the hell out of here. How can you be this disgusting? Go back to the villa. You're not allowed to eat anything, not allowed to go anywhere." With that, she ordered her bodyguards to drag me away immediately. Like a total schmuck, I was escorted out by the bodyguards and hauled back to the villa. After showering, I lay in bed in despair. How was I supposed to pursue Liu Ruyan now? I'd lost every shred of dignity in front of her. What was there left to pursue? What girl would ever fall for a guy who'd literally crapped his pants in front of her? The more I thought about it, the more miserable I felt. My first love, dead before it ever really began. I burrowed under the covers and cried. Really cried. As a young master who'd always gotten everything he wanted, this was the first time I'd ever known the agony of wanting someone I couldn't have. It hurt so damn much. The tears wouldn't stop flowing. I don't know how much time passed before my phone, sitting on the nightstand, rang abruptly. I picked it up, an unfamiliar number. I hung up and kept crying. The number called back relentlessly, and I hung up on it 20 times before it finally gave up. Not long after, a knock came at the door. "Young Master Fang, the young miss says if you dare hang up on her one more time, your family's company absolutely will not survive until tomorrow." I immediately called the number back. An indignant voice erupted from the phone. "Fang Yuan, if you want to die, I can arrange that." "You son of a sin! What a sin! Fang Yuan, what the hell are you moping about? You're making my chest ache so badly. Whatever it is, tell me, and I'll help you fix it. Just stop torturing me, okay?" Did I dare tell her I was heartbroken because I couldn't win her over? If I actually said that, my family would go bankrupt on the spot. It's nothing. I just feel terrible for putting you through so much, letting you get hurt this badly. Don't worry, I promise I won't cry anymore. You'd better mean it. Remember, eat normally, sleep early, rise early, and stop all this nonsense. Understood, my lady. The line went dead with a click. I dropped the phone helplessly. This was just too cruel. I wasn't even allowed to be sad. I remembered I had afternoon classes and immediately called my counselor to ask for leave. The counselor told me Ruyan had already taken care of it. Of course, only Miss Liu could be so thoughtful. No wonder she was the capital's premier young lady. In the afternoon, I ate some congee and nothing else. I didn't dare. Lying in bed, resigning myself to a lifetime without love, I still felt a little aggrieved, but Ruyan's warning kept me in check. Before long, I drifted off to sleep in my misery. I slept straight through to the next morning. When I got up, I practically walked right into Liu Jiahui helping Ruyan through the front door. Jiahui saw me standing in the living room in my pajamas and looked from me to Ruyan with sheer horror. Ruyan had resumed her usual frosty demeanor. She ignored me entirely, let go of her brother's arm, and tottered up to her room, one hand still cupping her rear. That left Jiahui and me standing alone in the living room, staring awkwardly at each other. After a moment of silent eye contact, Jiahui broke the ice and asked, "Why are you living here? What's your relationship with Xiaoyan?" I had no idea how to answer. What should I say? A suitor? Who'd ever heard of a suitor living in the girl's house? A friend? That didn't seem right either. At the very least, Ruyan definitely didn't consider me a friend. Jiahui watched me hang my head in silence and assumed I was just being shy. "You wouldn't happen to be my brother-in-law, would you? I owe you an apology. I threw a punch at you yesterday. Don't hold it against me, brother-in-law." Oh damn, now this was a huge misunderstanding. Seeing my face flush bright red, Jiahui stepped forward and threw an arm around my shoulder. "No need to be embarrassed. Honestly, I kind of admire you. Xiaoyan was raised by our grandmother, and Grandma was a devout Buddhist. Xiaoyan picked it up from her. Her temperament has always been so detached and icy. Our entire family has been worried sick that she'd renounce the world and become a nun one day. Good thing you came along in time to pluck this unreachable flower from the mountaintop." Jiahui's flattery had me floating on cloud 9. Could I really pluck that unreachable flower? Was I really that impressive? How come even I didn't know? Whatever, I needed to claim that brother-in-law title first. If I could get her family's backing, the advantage would be mine. With that, I threw all shame to the wind and chatted warmly with Jiahui, calling him big brother-in-law at every turn. The more we talked, the better we clicked. I pulled out a cigarette for him, lit it, and settled onto the living room sofa, listening to Jiahui tell stories about Ruyan's childhood. Just as Jiahui was in full flow, his mouth going dry from talking, and me getting more and more worked up, Ruyan's icy voice drifted down from upstairs. "You two are awfully chummy, aren't you?" Jiahui looked up at Ruyan's frosty face and laughed awkwardly. "Little sister, I was just bonding with my brother-in-law, who isn't strangers at first. We're all going to be family someday." Ruyan's face went iron gray. "Liu Jiahui, who's your brother-in-law? What nonsense are you spouting? Get the hell out of my house." Crap, our cover was blown. To avoid taking a beating, I hastily steered Jiahui toward the door. "Brother, you know Xiaoyan's temper. Her skin's just too thin. She's too shy to admit it. You head out first. We'll find time to grab a proper drink somewhere." At the door, Jiahui grabbed my hands. "Brother-in-law, we haven't known each other long, but I think you're a good man. You've got to treat Xiaoyan well. For years, she's been entirely emotionless. But these last couple of days, whether happy or angry, she's been more vivid than ever. That's all thanks to you. I'll definitely put in a few good words for you with Mom and Dad when I get home. You can count on me. Big brother, I'll take good care of Lu Ruyan, I swear. After all, I intend to spend my life with her." Jiahui patted my shoulder with satisfaction. "I trust you, brother-in-law. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. The doctor this morning said Xiaoyan has some mammary gland hyperplasia, probably from all that bottled-up frustration. You should help her out. Give her a massage now and then to ease it." Holy shit, was he serious? Was that really something I could just do? "Don't worry, big brother. Leave it to me." After waving goodbye to Jiahui, I returned to the living room. Ruyan was still standing on the second-floor landing, her eyes drilling into me with frozen contempt. "You're pleased with yourself, aren't you?" What could I say? Of course I was pleased. A nobody country bumpkin like me, somehow managing to get my name on the Liu family's prospective son-in-law list. How could I not be pleased? Before I could answer, Ruyan continued, "Keep that mood up. Don't go getting all miserable again. I can't take it." With that, she stopped looking at me and turned back to her room. I wanted to keep it up too, Buddhist maiden. But if you could just give me a little motivation, like letting me help you with that massage, forget keeping it up, I'd be so happy I'd ascend to heaven. The next morning, Ruyan and I had breakfast together. She sat for a while, and then we headed to school together. When the two of us walked into the classroom side by side, the whole place erupted. Big brother sidled over. He glanced at Ruyan sitting beside me, then at me and whispered, "Where have you been these past 2 days? You didn't come back to the dorm, didn't answer your phone." I pulled out my phone. Sure enough, a ton of missed calls, all from Big Brother and the guys. "The last couple of days have been insane. Didn't have a chance to get back to you." Big Brother nodded. "I can tell. You look terrible. Been overdoing it a bit? Want to grab some grilled kidney tonight to recharge? So, these last 2 days, did you seal the deal?" I looked at his leering face and decided to flex a little. I leaned in and whispered in his ear, "We're living together." "Holy shit, third brother. You're that savage? No way. You've got to treat the guys to dinner for this one." Big Brother's dramatic outburst caught Ruyan's attention. She looked at him, then at me, utterly baffled. Terrified of getting exposed, I quickly shoved Big Brother back to his seat. If the words sister-in-law had slipped out of his mouth just then, Ruyan would have killed us both. Once class started, I finally understood why Ruyan, who was actually younger than me, could be called the capital's premier young lady. When the old economics professor posed questions during his lecture, Ruyan not only answered them effortlessly, but was even able to point out flaws in the professor's arguments. Granted, her EQ was a bit lacking, her words had zero tact, but she could still make the old professor concede with genuine admiration. Watching the professor's approving gaze, I suddenly realized that in front of Ruyan, we were all like a bunch of grade schoolers. We weren't even in the same league. When class let out at noon, big brother, second brother, and fourth brother clustered around, addressing Ruyan with the utmost deference. They might not have known her true identity, but they could tell from her breadth of knowledge and the sheer presence she commanded that she was no ordinary person. Unsurprisingly, Ruyan didn't acknowledge them at all, and they weren't even fazed. Big brother called out to me, "All right, time to treat. No afternoon classes." Third brother, "Get on it." Second brother nodded in agreement. "How about Sichuan hot pot again? That place last time was solid." Before I could even respond, Ruyan's expression had already shifted. She fixed the three of them with an icy glare and said, "Fang Yuan is coming home with me to eat. You're on your own." I quickly shot the guys a meaningful look. They didn't take offense at Ruyan's coldness. Instead, they grinned at me with those lewd, knowing looks, caught my drift, and promptly made themselves scarce. Back at the villa with Ruyan, the housemaid had lunch ready. Steamed buns, plain congee, and a few small vegetable dishes so green they looked downright hostile. Had I somehow transported myself back to Dazao Temple? Ruyan, indifferent to food as always, sat down at the table and started eating as if this were perfectly normal. Seeing my complete lack of enthusiasm, she asked, "Not eating? Not to your taste?" "To my taste? One look at this spread and my appetite is dead." "Fine. So, Miss Liu, can I order takeout? This kind of food? I'm just not used to it." "Oh, not used to it. No problem. They say if a person repeats something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So just eat. You'll get used to it." Holy crap. Did she think this was a Peking duck fattening operation? You can't just force feed people things they don't like. Seeing me not move, Ruyan glared and set down her chopsticks. "Eat everything on this table. You know exactly what I'm capable of if you don't." I was so wronged I could burst. I picked up a steamed bun and gnawed at it sullenly. No getting angry, no feeling aggrieved, my chest hurt. This was outright bullying, being force-fed like livestock, and I had to keep a cheerful attitude. Enough was enough. Nobody gets to bully me like this. I slammed down the bun and narrowed my eyes. "Oh, Miss Liu's chest hurts. Does it? Need me to help you rub it? Give you a little massage?" Ruyan's face flushed crimson. Whether from shame or fury, I couldn't tell. She rose to her feet, her finger trembling as she pointed at me. I sat there, utterly unruffled, watching her performance. Hit me, and it hurt her. Curse me out. She couldn't bring herself to do it. Making the aloof Buddhist maiden choke on her own fury was pure, undiluted joy. My mood lifted instantly. Ruyan, who had been seething with rage just moments before, suddenly felt her anger subside, thanks to my dramatically improved mood. She gave a snort, sat back down, picked up her chopsticks, and continued eating with her usual unhurried grace. I had to admit the way Ruyan ate was truly a sight to behold, a feast for the eyes, if not the stomach. After the meal, Ruyan dabbed her lips and looked at me, her tone deceptively calm. "Fang Yuan, don't test my patience. This is my final warning. If you dare get fresh with me again, I will make sure your father goes bankrupt and your entire family is driven out of the capital." I almost laughed in disbelief. "Aren't you afraid I'll hurt myself? Not afraid I'll eat myself to death and take you with me?" Ruyan looked at me with serene composure. "Don't forget I'm a Buddhist. This life is merely the beginning of a new cycle of reincarnation. If you think you can blackmail me, go ahead and try." I didn't dare try, because try would mean try and die. Better to admit defeat and live to fight another day. I snatched up the steamed bun and wolfed it down. Ruyan nodded with satisfaction. Unfortunately, I ate so fast I ended up with the hiccups. That wasn't on purpose. Ruyan stared at me with an expression that could curdle milk. "Just shut up. Seeing your face is enough to make me angry." Fine, I'd shut up. Then I thought about it and added one more thing. "Miss Liu, don't be angry. Otherwise your chest is going to hurt again." Ruyan clamped her mouth shut, turned around, and stormed upstairs in a huff. I had to admit, the Ruyan who was with me was the only Ruyan who actually felt like a living, breathing person. Watching her stomp off in a fury gave me an inexplicable sense of triumph. I replayed our exchange in my head. Wait, had that gotten a little inappropriate? Good thing there was no profanity filter in my mouth, or those words would never have made it out. The next few days, Ruyan and I went to school together every morning and came home together every afternoon, living a life of zero socializing and 3 squares of bland, monastic gruel. Delivery food was a thing of the past. Milk tea? Forget it. Every day big brother, second brother, and fourth brother watched me sitting next to Ruyan with envious eyes. I put on a brave face and projected pure bliss, but who could I tell about the suffering behind it? Thinking back to my initial excitement about cohabiting with Ruyan, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. What was there to be excited about? Whoever wanted this kind of life was welcome to it. I'd had more than enough. It was basically the reality show My Days Living with a Nun. After barely surviving until the weekend, I could finally go home. As I was heading out the door, I glanced at Ruyan and hesitated. "Fang Yuan, just say whatever it is, spit it out." Miss Liu, I'm going home." I know, you'll come back Monday, right? I just wanted to ask, has your rear healed up? And is your chest still hurting? Get lost." All I wanted was to eat some decent food. Did she have to throw such a fit? I burst out the door and ran like the wind. The moment I got home and saw my parents, tears welled up in my eyes. Mom spotted me. "Son's back. What do you want to eat?" "Mom will cook it for you." That did it. I couldn't hold it any longer. I threw myself into my mom's arms and wailed. She smacked me away with one slap. "A big grown man like you, blubbering like a baby. What kind of disgraceful behavior is that? Get away from me." Fine. Getting sentimental was clearly a mistake. Before I could even process that, the phone rang. It was Ruyan. "Hello, my lady." "What's up?" "Fang Yuan, it looks like I really should keep you tethered to my side. I'm in the middle of a board meeting, and you're over there talking and crying at the same time." What exactly are you trying to do? Fine. Once again my fault. I hung up and fought to calm myself. No choice now. My emotions affected two people. Chatting with dad and mom, I didn't dare mention that I'd latched onto the Liu family's eldest miss, because I had no idea when, on a whim of displeasure, she might reduce my father's empire to ashes. At noon, when the dishes hit the table, my mouth started watering uncontrollably. No, rein it in! If Ruyan was in the middle of a conversation with someone and I started drooling while she was talking, she'd murder me. I just picked up my chopsticks when a sudden palpitation surged through my chest. Fear, impulse, resignation, and a kind of serene acceptance all at once. This was bad. Ruyan was in danger. I threw down my chopsticks, snatched my father's car keys, and bolted out the door. I fired up the engine and tore toward the Lu Group headquarters. Ruyan had said she was in a board meeting. She had to be at the corporate building. I gunned it all the way. The closer I got to the Lu Group, the harder my heart pounded. Passing a small alley next to the building, my palpitations peaked, and waves of dizziness battered me. I screeched to a halt, jumped out, and sprinted into the alley. There she was, Ruyan, slumped against the wall, a blade gleaming from her abdomen. 7 or 8 bodies lay sprawled on the ground around her. I rushed forward, scooped her up, and raced back to the car. While driving, I called the hospital, telling them to have a team waiting at the entrance. I also called Lu Jiahui, telling him to bring people to the hospital immediately. There was no telling whether whoever had tried to assassinate Ruyan would try again inside the hospital. At the hospital, once Ruyan was on the gurney, I finally let out a long breath. Moments later, a doctor came rushing out urgently. Are the family members here? The patient needs a blood transfusion. Damn it! I called Jiahui. He said they were on the way. 10 more minutes. No choice. I told the doctor, test my blood. If it's compatible, take mine. By some miracle, both Ruyan and I were type A. I lay on the bed and watched my blood being steadily drawn out. A wave of intense dizziness washed over me. Damn it. I'd forgotten I was hemophobic, but then again I had to give myself credit. Seeing Ruyan covered in blood earlier, I somehow hadn't fainted. When I came to, I was still in the hospital bed. I turned my head and looked at Ruyan beside me. Our eyes met. In that moment my heart skipped a beat. Ruyan, in a rare display, blushed and looked away. Staring at the ceiling, she said, "Thank you." I grinned. For what? Aren't we good friends? Ruyan didn't contradict me. Silence settled over the room. I wanted to say something, but my heart just kept fluttering. This was nice. An ambiguous charged atmosphere spread through the hospital room. By unspoken agreement, neither of us spoke, neither of us willing to shatter the moment. We hadn't been enjoying it for long before the door banged open. Lu Jiahui and a dignified middle-aged man walked into the room. The man's stern expression softened slightly when he saw Ruyan awake. Ruyan nodded at him. He nodded back, then turned his attention to me. "Young man, thank you for saving my Xiaoyan." Before the words were even out, Jihui cut in. "Dad, no need for thanks. He's Xiaoyan's boyfriend. We're family." The man looked at me with surprise, then at Ruyan. Ruyan said nothing, turning her face away. Jihui walked over and clapped me on the shoulder. "Not bad, brother-in-law. Now I'm truly at ease." I smiled awkwardly. Ruyan cut off her brother's chatter. "Who did this?" Her father nodded. "The Shu family. When the marriage alliance fell through, they couldn't stomach staying beneath us any longer and decided to take a desperate gamble, using your death to catch us off guard and launch a full-scale war." Ruyan nodded. "Good thing we'd set up countermeasures against them early. This makes it the perfect time to close the net. I really didn't expect the Shu family to actually have the guts to strike at me." I stared at Ruyan, utterly composed, and my blood ran cold. If someone tried to assassinate me, I'd have pissed my pants. Yet here she was, as cool as a spring breeze. At that moment, someone rushed in, went up to the middle-aged man, and leaned in to whisper in his ear. The man waved him off. "Speak openly. There are no outsiders here." The man nodded. "Sir, there's a real estate boss outside, name's Fang Bancheng, and his wife are making a scene, demanding to come in and find their son. Should we have them removed?" Oh crap, I'd completely forgotten about my dad. I struggled upright. "Wait, that's my father." The man looked at me, then at Ruyan, clearly deferring to her opinion. Ruyan thought for a moment. Once the Shu family is eliminated, there'll be plenty of spoils to go around. Let Uncle Fang have a seat at the table. A faint smile flickered across the middle-aged man's stern face as he looked at his daughter with amusement. Ruyan's expression was a little unnatural, clearly forcing herself to look calm. Her father nodded. "Fine, I'll go talk to him." With that, he led the messenger out of the room. Curious, I asked Ruyan, "What does a seat at the table mean?" I was thinking, so my dad finally counts as someone important now. Ruyan ignored me and turned her back. Good thing I had my brother-in-law. Jiahui helped me lie back down before explaining slowly. The Shu family is one of the major houses in the capital, but they've always wanted to climb higher, to stand on equal footing with us. They proposed a marriage alliance, but Xiaoyan refused. This time, they probably thought their wings were strong enough, so they dared to strike directly at Xiaoyan. You saved her. Without you, they really would have caught us completely off guard. But now what awaits the Shu family is total annihilation. What they did crossed a fundamental line. We weathered their first strike, so they no longer have any chance. The other families won't allow them to continue existing either. He paused, then continued. After the Shu family falls, their businesses and the positions they vacate will need new occupants. The empty positions are already being divvied up among the various families. What Xiaoyan means is, let your family take over the Shu family's businesses. Was this a pie from heaven? No. This was a giant pizza, big enough to choke my father to death. I started praying silently. Dad, you've been burning incense and chanting sutras for years. Please, please keep your cool. If you faint from sheer joy, you'll embarrass your son beyond all recovery. Before long, the middle-aged man came back in, bringing my father and mother with him. The moment I saw my dad's face, I burrowed my head under the blanket. Whatever happened to keeping calm? Where was that Buddhist equanimity? Dad, have you looked in a mirror? Your mouth is stretched into an abyss of a grin. It's humiliating. My mom, on the other hand, was fine. She didn't even glance at me. She walked straight to Ruyan's bedside, took her hand and said, "Ruyan, we meet again." Ruyan nodded, her expression bland. My mom was long accustomed to Ruyan's frostiness from Dazao Temple and chatted with her warmly. Hiding under the covers, I mulled things over. Did this count as meeting the parents? On both sides? This was looking promising. Sure, Ruyan and I had hit peak mutual embarrassment on multiple occasions, but once we became husband and wife, literally crapping your pants wouldn't even register as an issue. At that thought, a surge of excitement swept through me. I poked my head out of the covers and snuck a glance at Ruyan. Sure enough, she was looking at me too. Wasn't this kind of nice? Could this be what they called marital telepathy? After being discharged, I went home. Ruyan's injuries were more serious, so she had to stay in the hospital to recover. Dad was busier than ever, but he walked around grinning from ear to ear. Didn't take a genius to figure it out. This time, he was truly eating well. I couldn't care less about the business side. He was just a wage earner dad anyway. Everything would be mine someday. I went back to school, back to my routine of goofing off with Big Brother and the guys. It was just that in class, looking at the empty seat beside me, I felt a hollow ache inside. I think I missed Lu Ruyan. Every day, Big Brother invited me out for hot pot or spicy malatang. I'd just wave him off. Ruyan couldn't eat that stuff right now. Her body couldn't take it. Without even realizing it, my own diet had turned bland. I was going to bed early, rising early, living healthy, eating clean. My whole body and mind felt better than ever before. Lu Jiaohui told me I shouldn't go looking for Ruyan or contact her for the time being. He was worried about retaliation from the Shu family. Sure, the Shu family couldn't retaliate against the Lu family, but they could take their anger out on me. If they learned about my connection to Ruyan, they'd definitely target me. I nodded and agreed, but inside, I felt an aching sense of loss. Every day without Ruyan was a day spent in longing. Damned unrequited love, beautiful and cruel at the same time. One day, about a month later, I dragged myself into the classroom, listless as ever. Out of habit, I looked up toward the seat Ruyan always sat in, and met her gaze looking right back at me. I was electrified. I rushed over and sat down beside her. "My lady, is your body fully healed? Are all your unmentionable ailments healed too?" "Get lost." "Fine." I'd wanted to ask about the mammary gland issue too, but I decided to let it go. Even though Ruyan still wore that cool, detached expression, the fact was, we shared a frequency, felt the same things, and that heart of hers, pounding with barely contained excitement, betrayed that her inner world was anything but calm. After school that afternoon, I trailed behind Ruyan. She suddenly spun around. "Why are you following me? Go home. You're not living on campus anymore?" "I canceled my dorm ages ago." "So, you're moving back in? Besides, my stuff is still at your place." Ruyan looked at my completely shameless expression, and gave me a helpless look before getting into the car. I quickly opened the door and climbed in after her. When we got to her off-campus villa, I realized the housemaid, Auntie Lee, wasn't there. "Where's Auntie Lee?" "Don't bother asking." Auntie Lee was a Shu family mole. She's been dealt with. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. The Shu family really was stupid though. If they just had Auntie Lee slip some poison into the food, the grass on Ruyan's grave and mine would be 2 meters tall by now. But there must have been a reason she didn't. A reason that small fry like me couldn't possibly touch at the level those great clans operated on. After putting down her bag, Ruyan sat on the sofa, her breathing a little labored. Clearly, she was still weak from her recent illness. "Fang Yuan, you're making dinner tonight. Keep it simple. I'm going upstairs to rest." And with that, the eldest miss turned and headed upstairs. Great. Me cook? I could demolish a meal, that was about it. No choice, I called for emergency backup. Before long, my mom came barreling into the villa. "Son, what does Ruyan want to eat? Your mom's going to show off her skills today. Keep your skills tucked away where they belong. Just make what they served at Dazao Temple. That's what the eldest miss eats." "Oh, that's easy." Moments later, 4 simple light dishes were on the table. When I went to call Ruyan for dinner, she was propped up in bed, working on her laptop. "Dinner's ready." Ruyan looked at me with surprise. "That fast? Of course. Who do you think you're dealing with?" Ruyan set aside her laptop, got out of bed, and walked into the living room, where she saw my mom emerging from the kitchen. "Auntie, you came. I'm so sorry to trouble you." It was rare for Ruyan to be polite with anyone. With her own father, she communicated in curt nods. My mom smiled warmly as she set down the last bowl of clear soup and untied her apron. "You two eat first. I'm heading back. Still need to cook for Fang Yuan's father." Ruyan didn't press her to stay. She nodded and walked with me to see my mom out. Before getting into her car, my mom even invited Ruyan to come visit sometime. Ruyan nodded politely. Watching my mom rush in and rush back out, I thought to myself, "Mom, one day when I marry Lu Ruyan, I'll make sure she learns to cook. She'll wait on me hand and foot every day." Back in the living room, Ruyan and I sat across from each other, eating in silence. That fluttery feeling in my chest started up again. After eating, Ruyan put down her bowl and went back to her room. Wow, she wasn't even going to wash the dishes? Well, washing dishes I could handle. No need to call my mom again. After finishing the dishes, I wanted to chat with Ruyan for a bit. It had been so long since I'd seen her, but I didn't know what to say. The closer we got, the harder it became to find topics. It felt like there was nothing left to say except to finally break through that last paper-thin barrier. Just then, a cry of pain came from Ruyan's bedroom, and at the exact same moment I felt an intense pain in my own rear. Fighting through the agony, I made my way to Ruyan's door. "My lady, are you okay?" No response from inside. Worry seized me. Could it be the Shu family had come? At that thought, I pushed the bedroom door open and walked in. The room was empty. The cries were coming from the bathroom. I rushed to the bathroom door. No time to think. I yanked it open. White, snow white, so white. Ruyan's face froze in shock. A moment later, red, blushing pink, so red. "Who told you to come in here? Get the hell out." It wasn't until a towel landed on my head that my brain caught up. My lady, I was just worried about you. Are you sure you're okay?" Ruyan was sitting on the bathroom floor. "Get out. Shut the door." "Fine. No good deed goes unpunished." I closed the door, my mind flooded with images, strictly not safe for minors. "Fang Yuan, are you still there?" Yeah, I'm here. "Aren't you going to carry me out? I can't get up." "Now that's a job I'm happy to do." I pushed the door open, my gaze going rigid. "Close your eyes. If you stare at me one more second, I'll kill you." Fine, closed." I fumbled my way toward her. "You son of a bitch. What do you think you're doing with your hands everywhere? Where do you think you're touching?" "Ah, sorry, it's just so soft." I cracked my eyes open, a sliver scooped Ruyan into my arms. The feeling was absolutely unreal. I carried her to the bed and set her down. "My lady, any further orders?" "No, get out." "Understood." I hurried out of her bedroom and back to my own. Lying in bed, wave after wave of excitement pulsed through me. Too thrilling. That scene just now. I could replay it in my mind for a lifetime. For the entire afternoon, neither of us left our rooms. It wasn't until evening that I finally emerged and knocked on Ruyan's door. "My lady, what do you want for dinner? Are you a pig? Will skipping one meal kill you?" Good lord. Was this really our aloof Buddhist maiden? The things coming out of her mouth. I didn't bother Ruyan further. I went back to my room and lay down, but that afternoon scene kept replaying in my head. I couldn't take it anymore. The prolonged hardware upgrade was killing me. I looked at my right hand. Whatever, let's do this. Moments later, my door was hammered loudly. Having my fun interrupted filled me with rage. I threw open the door and snapped at Ruyan. "My lady, what now?" Dressed in her nightgown, face flushed pink all over, Ruyan stormed. "Fang Yuan, what the hell are you doing?" "Crap, I'd forgotten. We shared sensations. In for a penny, in for a pound." I pulled Ruyan into my room and kissed her straight on the lips. At first she pushed back hard, but slowly she stopped resisting and wrapped her arms around me. "That night, you did not say no." The next morning, I stared at the crimson stain on the sheets, dazed. Holy crap, I'd actually conquered the aloof Buddhist maiden. Ruyan clutched the blanket around herself, her face burning red. "Still staring? Go get my clothes." I immediately obeyed, jogging off to fetch them. Heading to school that morning, as we walked into the classroom, I firmly took Ruyan's hand in mine. The three dorm guys grinned at us with lecherous delight. Once we were seated, Big Brother leaned into my ear and asked, "Did you seal the deal?" I nodded smugly. The dorm crew burst into cheers and demanded I treat them to lunch. "No problem. Lunch has to be a celebration feast fit for the occasion." Ruyan's cool voice sounded beside my ear. "Just don't get Sichuan hot pot. Nothing that spicy." Of course. Even if they tried to make me, I wouldn't. Gotta take care of my own wife. After all, my wife has her delicate condition to consider. At that thought, I started chuckling to myself. Wait, hold on. If I was laughing, why was Ruyan still looking so impassive? As a test, I pinched my arm hard. It hurt like hell, but Ruyan and the dorm guys were all staring at me like I'd lost my mind. Oh no, it was gone. The shared sensation between Ruyan and me had vanished. What was I supposed to do now? How was I going to keep her in check? She could crush me however she wanted now. I turned to Ruyan, uncertain. "My lady, our connection? It's gone?" Ruyan nodded. "I knew last night." "Huh?" Seeing my confusion, Ruyan explained, her face reddening. "Last night, it hurt so badly at first, and you were just blissed out. That's when I knew our connection was gone." "Huh, so that's what happened." A little nervously, I asked, "My lady, you're not going to take it back, are you? We agreed this morning, you'd be my girlfriend." Ruyan's face was perfectly serious, but those pink cheeks gave her away. My heart was pounding. She's not actually going to say no, is she? Then Ruyan said, "I keep my word." Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. My mind drifted back through everything Ruyan and I had been through. That first meeting at Dazhao Temple, that month of relentless pursuit, the wish I'd made with utter devotion before the Buddha, our journey of coming together. Wait, the wish I'd made before the Buddha, now I understood. It was the Buddha who had made us feel what each other felt, who had brought us together. I turned my head and watched Ruyan, her attention fixed earnestly on the blackboard. A wave of emotion washed over me. So love, too, is a kind of faith. Only two people who can truly feel what the other feels can come together and stay together. I believe, from now on, we'll feel each other with our hearts, and we'll walk this path together, all the way to forever. The end,